It's quite something, isn't it? Seeing a space like crypto, which is, so dynamic, finally getting some serious regulatory structure put down. Today, we're really diving deep into the UK's proposed crypto regulations. It's this pretty hefty document HM Treasury dropped on April 29th, 2025.
Yeah, and it's not exactly out of the blue, is it? This draft legislation, the full name's quite a mouthful, Financial Services and Markets Act, 2000 something something Crypto Assets Order 2025. Well, they've been working on it since October 2023, so quite a bit of lead up time.
Definitely. And what we want to do today is really unpack what it all means for you. If you're deep into crypto trading, just kind of watching from the sidelines or, somewhere in between. We need to get past the jargon, understand the core changes. Essentially, the UK is looking to, bring crypto rules much more in line with traditional finance.
That's the main goal, absolutely, to set up a clear, solid framework, one that sort of mirrors the rules for, established financial stuff. And it's worth remembering, the target for these rules to kick in is 2026. So not that far off, really. It could have a real impact fairly soon.
Okay, so who actually gets the power to enforce all this? Which bodies are we talking about?
The draft clearly points to the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, and the PRA, the Prudential Regulation Authority. They're the main ones taking on this bigger role. Their job in crypto is going to go way beyond just like AML and stopping misleading ads. It's much broader now.
Right. So what specific crypto activities are actually covered by these new proposals? What are they targeting?
Well, there are several key areas. Stablecoins, definitely a big focus. Operating crypto exchanges or trading platforms for UK folks, that's in there. Also, staking services, dealing or arranging deals in crypto assets, custody, holding on to people's crypto safely, that's covered too, and crypto lending and borrowing. Plus, they're looking at market abuse, like insider trading and disclosure rules, though we expect more detail on those bits later.
So it sounds pretty comprehensive. They're trying to cover a lot of ground. When they say crypto asset, what exactly fits that definition?
So the definition really focuses on assets that are fungible, meaning one is the same as another, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, and transferable. But importantly, it specifically excludes things like NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and other unique digital items that you can't just swap like for like.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's drill down into the exchanges and trading platforms then. That's how most people get involved, right? What are the big changes for them?
This is a really major shift, actually. The draft basically says any exchange or platform letting UK residents trade, and this is key. Even if the platform is based overseas, they'll need to register with the FCA.
Any platform. Wow.
Yeah, pretty much. The only real exception is if they only deal with institutional clients. So if you're a regular investor in the UK using an exchange, chances are that platform needs FCA authorization now.
That's a huge reach. What kind of standards will they need to meet to get that FCA approval? What are they looking for?
The FCA has laid out some draft standards, things like having strong systems to watch for and stop market abuse, looking for insider trading type stuff. They also want transparency. Clear order books, clear trade reporting, so it's a fair market.
Makes sense.
Then there's operational resilience. That covers cybersecurity, making sure the platform stays up and running, fair trading rules, managing conflicts of interest, and even rules around bots and algorithmic trading, although the exact details on algo trading are still pending.
Right. So bringing that kind of discipline you see in traditional stock exchanges over to crypto. What if a platform just can't meet these standards?
Well, the proposal suggests a potential wind-down period. Could be up to 2 years. Gives them a structured way to stop serving UK customers if they can't comply.
Okay. Now, one thing that's got a lot of people talking is stablecoins, treating them as securities. Why is that such a big deal?
Yes, stablecoins. Classifying them as securities instead of, say, e-money has some really fundamental consequences for how they work and how they're regulated. It's a different regime entirely.
Okay, so what are the practical implications? What does that mean for issuers and users?
Well, first off, it means issuers will probably need to show they're backed one-to-one. With stable fiat currency like pounds or dollars, they'll have to prove those reserves are there and that you can actually redeem your stablecoins reliably.
Crucial for trust, I imagine.
Exactly. And importantly, they won't be treated like collective investment schemes under this. Also, interestingly, overseas issuers, the big names like Tether, Circle War, they might be able to operate without direct UK registration if they meet certain exemption criteria.
So it feels like they're trying to ensure stability and protect people, but maybe leave the door open for major global stablecoins if they meet the bar? Kind of a balancing act?
That's exactly it. Trying to build trust, make sure they're genuinely stable, but without completely shutting out established international players, balancing protection and market access.
Got it. Let's shift to staking. That's become really popular, hasn't it? Earning rewards on your crypto. What's the plan for staking services?
Yeah, staking's huge. The main thing here is if you want to offer staking services to UK customers, you'll need FCA authorization. Simple as that. The FCA sees risks, things like slashing penalties where you lose some staked crypto, or platforms failing and losing assets, or even just misleading ads about the yields you can get.
Okay, so risks are acknowledged. What requirements will providers need to meet for that authorization then?
The draft lists 6 core things. They need explicit consent from users on the terms. They need a clear key features document outlining the risks involved. Staked assets have to be kept in separate wallets, not mixed with the platform's own funds. Good record keeping is essential. Plus, solid risk management for their validators and tech, and crucially, enough capital set aside to cover potential losses.
Seems quite thorough, really focused on protecting the assets being staked.
Okay, now, crypto lending and borrowing. I hear this might be one of the more controversial parts.
You heard right. This could be quite contentious. The draft currently proposes a ban on crypto lending and borrowing specifically for retail investors in the UK.
A complete ban. For regular folks, why such a strong move? What's the thinking? Well, the FCA highlights quite a few risks they see as being too high for retail investors. Things like the platform itself going bust, or investors losing ownership of the crypto permanently, liquidity problems, not being able to get your funds back when you need them, lack of clarity on where the yield actually comes from, and potential conflicts of interest, especially if platforms push their own tokens in these schemes.
So they basically see it as too risky for the average person right now. What about institutions? Can they still play in this space?
The proposal suggests, yes, institutional lending and borrowing might still be allowed, but whether retail access gets completely shut off, that's still technically up for consultation. The FCA is also looking at alternatives, like maybe only allowing stablecoins as collateral or banning platforms from using their own native tokens in lending deals.
Right, so they're definitely wrestling with how to manage the risks there. It's not necessarily a final decision yet on the retail ban, but it's on the table.
Exactly. It's a clear signal of concern.
What about DeFi, decentralized finance? Where does that fit into this picture?
DeFi. Well, as it stands, this particular set of regulations mostly leaves DeFi protocols outside its direct scope.
Okay, so DeFi gets a pass for now, essentially unregulated under these proposals.
Not quite that simple. There's a really important clause in there. It says if there's a sufficiently controlling party behind a DeFi protocol, then that entity could potentially be pulled under the FCA's regulation. So the idea is truly decentralized platforms with no single boss might stay outside this specific framework. But those platforms that look decentralized but actually have identifiable controllers, sometimes called semi-centralized or pseudo-DeFi, they might not escape regulation.
That seems like a practical way to look at it, targeting actual control points. Okay, one of the things I saw mentioned was maybe restricting using credit to buy crypto.
Yes, that's another one the FCA is looking hard at. They did a survey back in 2024, found 14% of UK crypto investors used credit cards. That was double the figure from 2022. The worry is pretty straightforward. Stopping people getting into debt traps, borrowing money to invest in something that can be, let's face it, incredibly volatile.
So are they proposing an outright ban on credit cards for crypto buys?
It's definitely one of the options they're considering, but there's a potential wrinkle people are pointing out.
Oh, what's that?
Well, if the ban only covers buying crypto directly, maybe stablecoins wouldn't be included. So theoretically, someone could use a credit card to buy stablecoins.
And then just swap them for Bitcoin or whatever.
Exactly. Potentially bypassing the intended restriction. It just shows how tricky it is to regulate this stuff effectively.
It really does.
Yeah.
So where do things go from here? What are the next steps, the timeline?
Things are moving quite fast, actually. The deadline for feedback on this main draft regulation is May 23rd, 2025. That's very soon. And the FCA also has a related discussion paper out. Comments for that are due by June 13th.
So a busy few weeks for anyone wanting to give input.
Definitely. Then the expectation is we'll see final policies sometime in 2026. And there'll almost certainly be a transition period for firms to get ready and comply.
So this isn't happening overnight, but the clock is ticking. And there's still a chance for the industry and others to weigh in.
Absolutely. Groups like Crypto UK, individual investors, founders, the exchanges themselves, they're all preparing submissions right now. It's a really crucial time for anyone involved in the UK crypto scene to make their views known and potentially shape how these final rules look.
Okay, so summing up then, big picture. The UK is clearly making a major move towards a comprehensive crypto rulebook. The goals seem to be legitimacy, clarity, protecting consumers, setting clear standards for businesses. But yeah, there are potential impacts, especially for innovation maybe, and how retail investors can get involved in things like lending.
That sums it up well. This whole package really highlights the UK's ambition to be seen as a, serious and responsible place for crypto. It's a step towards maturing the market.
Definitely feels like a significant step. So, as we wrap up, here's something to think about. For you listening, considering everything we've discussed, these proposed regulations, how do you think they'll ultimately shape crypto investment and innovation here in the UK? And could they set a precedent elsewhere? Are there maybe opportunities or even challenges that might pop up that haven't really been talked about yet? Lots to mull over as this whole thing develops.